witnessing history, Viper.
Let's begin.
Are there any more issues?
Hey everybody, and welcome to the stream. I've just realised I don't have the camera set up, but Maurice will be joining us today. If you have questions, you're in the right place. Hopefully you've seen all the announcements and joined, and I'm quickly going to try and talk to you while also trying to find the link to Maurice's camera. But yes, Maurice is here. He is the map designer and level designer at Blackbird Interactive, and he's going to be giving us some behind-the-scenes insights, which I'm quite excited about because I'm a big Blackbird game fanboy. So yeah, while I try and figure out how to get his camera working, Maurice, could you introduce yourself and tell us a bit more
Absolutely.
about... yeah, hello, welcome.
Hi, welcome. Good morning, good night, good afternoon, wherever you might be. So I'm Maurice Grella. I'm a game designer. I've been in the industry for about 5 to 6 years now. More generally, I've been making games for about 10 years. I got my start modding Skyrim and Fallout, as well as making small prototypes. Eventually, I went into QA. I worked in the mobile games for a bit before moving into working on brain training games that test emotional and cognitive intelligence. For a brief period, I was working with the American military to help soldiers overcome traumatic head wounds and regain their ability to do stuff like math or reading, writing comprehension. Eventually, I moved on to making freelance projects for the Canadian Space Agency, as well as the CBC, which is a Canadian broadcasting company. Then I moved on to the fun stuff. I got into working on Squad, as well as Beyond the Wire, before eventually making my way over to Blackbird Interactive, where now I'm the map maker and game designer, bringing Crossfire Legion into early access and through that into full release. In my spare time, I still make a boatload of games, mostly little like web browser prototypes, and I contribute some level design work to Fallout Miami.
Cool, awesome. That is quite an extensive background. I've got your camera in. I've got it in twice somehow. I don't know how that worked.
Double the fun, double the Maurice.
So my
Double
paranoia about getting the cameras in. There we go. There, I found the button.
And so, hi.
Yes, sorry. That's Maurice. And as you can hear, we also joined by Lucy. And
Kuba.
Yeah, and Kuba.
And yeah, I'm here as well. Of course, another RTS, and so we needed to go with 1v1 versus Lucy.
So yeah, the plan of action, guys, is that Lucy is going to get stomped on by Nerf, and Maurice and I are just going to laugh. That's the plan. So they're going to be showcasing the game, and we're going to be chatting and answering your questions. Guys, if you have any questions for Maurice as we're going through chat, we will try to find them in the Twitch chat, but the best place for them is in Discord. So Kuba will put a link in our Twitch chat to find our Discord channel, where if you scroll down, you will see a dev live stream questions channel, and people have already started submitting their questions there, which is great to see. And if you could also do the same, we will do our very best to go through them all at the appropriate time. And yeah, ask and ye shall know. That's the plan. There we go. Just make sure I've got it open myself. Very good. Cool.
And we're gonna start the game to keep everything and things running in the background for all the questions, answers. So we're gonna start with Mountainside. So 1v1. I'm gonna go easy on you, Lucy. No worries. I'm gonna be the good guy. We'll have enough time to build the bases up, scout around the map. So feel free to enjoy the Mountainside as well.
I'm just here to take in the sights and be cannon fodder for Nerf, basically. My gameplay skills definitely are... we won't mention them.
This is weird being in spectator mode because I want to do stuff and interact, but no, I'm just going to be following you guys around and watching your openings.
Yeah, watch Nurse. Don't bother with me.
Which one?
We used to have a bug where you could take there's a ping system where you could like let your teammates know, oh, enemy here, go here, so on and so forth. And spectators used to be able to like spam that so that both teams like saw it. Thankfully, you can't do that anymore. We managed to fix that.
Very good. I'm glad you're playtesting these things. So yeah,
Oh,
Maurice.
certainly. Yep. We playtest a lot, especially as a designer. Having worked in like QA for about a year really helped me like help teach me like the importance of listening to the people who get paid to play your game for 50 hours a week, but also like really thoroughly testing your own work and making sure that everything's functioning as intended before you send it out for even to Steam. In my spare time, I also teach, and there were several occasions where like students would submit a project to me, and they would get a lower mark than they thought they deserved, and I'd be really confused as to like, why are you so insistent? Like, I played your game, you got like a B, but you want an A, and then like one time a student got like super angry. He's like, hey, I don't think this mark is right. So I was like, okay, we'll just play your game in front of everyone. I played this game, and then only one level loaded. He's like, oh, there's supposed to, like the final level loaded as the first. And he's like, oh, there was like 7 levels. I'm like, well, you should have tested it before you submitted it. You would have got a higher mark.
Very good. You sound like a fair but brutal teacher.
Oh yeah.
Very good. Cool. So yeah, tell us about the Crossfire universe and why Crossfire. Why did BBI go? Yeah, this looks cool. We'll do an RTS with this.
Yeah. So a while ago, Blackbird was approached by Smilegate Interactive as a potential developer for an RTS installment into the Crossfire series. I think really what sold Smilegate on Blackbird was the fact that there were so many folks who previously worked at Relic. There were several really important members to the success of Relic who eventually formed Blackbird Interactive. And then they released a game called Deserts of Karak, installment within the Homeworld series.
Yep,
and having seen like our process and how we went about developing that and refining the RTS experience, sold Smilegate on us as a candidate for bringing their very, very, very successful and popular like first-person shooter into the RTS space. And as for RTSs, I think that the main reason why that genre was chosen was it seemed like a pretty good like next step for the game. Where if you ever played Crossfire Legion, very similar like experience to like the tactical fast pace of a game like Counter-Strike or another competitive shooter. And we felt that something in a similar vein to like StarCraft or Red Alert, where you could like really hone your skills and like make every action per minute count, felt like a really good direction to expand the genre or expand the franchise into. And it's been really fun in terms of like narrative and more like campaign stuff, which there will be a full campaign released by 1.0.
Cool.
And we've been like having a really good time, like me personally at least, like reading through the Crossfire wiki and like learning a lot. But what's been really fun is that like this game takes place like slightly into the future of like the currently established Crossfire canon. So we're able to play around with a lot of like near future themes, as well as like where that universe would have gone within like 5 to 10 years of like currently established lore.
Cool. Yeah, so yeah, I was just about that leads me on nicely to the influences and stuff that sort of, I think you've already touched on a few of them, but yeah, as an influence as both a designer of games and a fan of games and what you have planned for future for the Crossfire world, could you tell us a little bit about that background? What have you been playing?
What have we been playing? So, this game's been in development like prior to me starting at Blackbird. I've been here for about 8 months or so, and been playing a lot of the games that were recommended. So for those who aren't in the biz, like one of the things that we do prior to actually coding the game is to put together documentation, references, color palettes, mood boards, so that we kind of get an idea of what we want the game to look like and feel like when you play it. So some of the recommendations for our game were some of the I guess references for our game were StarCraft 2, Command or Red Alert, Hearthstone, and Dawn of War 2 specifically. So I've been playing through all four of those, and trying to get a sense of like what went right with those games and what kind of experience have they been like. What kind of experience are they aiming for? How do they achieve it? How do they fail at achieving it? And try to figure out like what kind of lessons we could learn, and figure out what kind of what kind of features we could add or changes we can make to existing systems to create a better experience influenced by those games. But more recently, one of the newer games I've been playing is I was in the alpha for Company of Heroes 3, as I'm a huge fan of that series, as well as political and war history. I find Italy as a setting to be very interesting for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, it's definitely when I first saw that news about Italy, I was like, yeah, that's definitely a bold choice to go for. But yeah, it's going to be super interesting. They wouldn't have done it unless they have something interesting to say and do with it.
Most definitely.
So that's pretty cool. So you're talking about your influences. So are we going to be seeing lots of really low professional videos and cutscenes and stuff, like really hammed up with the CNC acting and all the rest?
Part of me wishes we went in that direction.
We just don't live in that world anymore.
Yeah, no. Again, I'm a huge fan of live action acting and video game cutscenes. One specific example that I'm a really big fan of was Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2, I believe. One of the game, it's a 90s Star Wars first-person shooter where they got all live action acting, and it's like super low bit rate video. It's beautiful, but unfortunately, I think that's one of the things that
the world has moved on.
We've moved on from it. So at this point, we have really nice, beautiful, almost like painterly style cutscenes for our game, as you saw in the intro.
Yeah, it's an
as
interesting
well as
art
the
style.
Trailer. Yeah, it's kind of an art style that we try to we work with several IPs within our studio, but I think that through our cinematics and through that painterly style, we try to create a continuity through all of the games that we create.
I'm trying to put my finger on it. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like a photorealistic, and then you painted it up. It's like a painter was trying to paint a photo or something.
And we're hoping with that aesthetic, it doesn't matter whether you're on the battlefield or in space or doing what have you. You'll always have a feeling in the back of your head that I know I'm playing a Blackbird Interactive game, not just because of the high quality of the game design, but also because of this interconnected aesthetic that's prevalent throughout all of our games.
So you were saying about these influences and all the rest, and you played quite a few things. Do you mind giving us some sort of example of where you thought, you know what, we could do that better, or there's some sort of feature, or and what are your aims basically as a designer, if you've got something in mind?
So there's at this point there's several technical issues that we're hoping to overcome. One of the nice things is that we've done a fair bit of testing prior to the closed beta, so we have a good starting point at which we could from which we could listen to our community and adjust the design accordingly. Some of the big issues so far that I think that we could improve off the top of our head is improving initial load time as well as improving matchmaking. That was one of the big things that we wanted to figure out with this technical test is how well is our matchmaking working, how easy is it to find and get into a game, and In addition to that, like how are the commanders working, and figuring out like what is the balance of the units? Are they functional? Are all the categories useful and valid choices to form strategies around?
Cool. Yeah, so that covers quite a lot of what I wanted to ask you about. Is there anything else out there that really excites you? That you've already mentioned Company of Heroes 3 and I presume Homeworld 3, which I'm extremely excited about.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Is there anything else that you've got your eye on?
At the moment, there's a wonderful game called there's a wonderful game series called the World War One game series, it's a first-person shooter where, obviously, as the name implies, first-person shooter set during World War One, and they're creating an expansion set in the Italian Alps, where a bit of history, again, going back to Italy, there's a lot of really interesting history between 1900 and 1950, where a lot of combat, especially in the Alps, and this FPS aims to capture like a first-person experience with a very vertical like level design, in which you're literally fighting over rock face and cliffs in order to control the Italian Alps. And what I'm really interested about there is the campaign mode that they're developing. As always, I'm a big fan of like meta design, like meta game layers, where you take like games such as what you're seeing here, and then those contribute to larger experiences or bigger fights. Kind of like in For Honor, they had like a pretty interesting system where player victories and losses contribute to larger changes in the map that would then be fought over seasons, so you could look back and see which faction won X season or Y season, and then they gave like a lot of like interesting loot and exclusive items to the factions that won those seasons.
And it have influence going forward. I mean, that's what I always liked about the Homeworld game, was that, you know, if you did well in a level or badly in a level, it would influence how you performed in the next level, you know.
For sure.
Sort of continuity stuff. Cool. Seeing as you're a map designer, let's talk maps.
Sure.
So what makes a good map? What do you think of when you think, hey, I'm going to make a new 2v2 map or 3v3, whatever? What's the first thing that pops into your head?
So 2v2 map, making a map in general, John Romero had a really good, he's one of the designers who worked on, I believe it was Doom. He wrote a really good book on level design. And one of the main quotes he had in there was that like level design is where the rubber hits the road, so to speak, where like you take your game, you're basically executing on your game mechanics, and you're creating a context in which like players, you can utilize those mechanics in a way that they find most effective. So having a very strong understanding of what your game is trying to achieve is like the first step to making a good level, regardless of what genre, regardless of like controls. You have to understand what your game's trying to achieve. And then from there, usually you'll have like a checklist of like, okay, we have these type of assets, because unfortunately, like when it comes to game design, I also make a lot of prototypes. So when I make my prototypes, most of them are very abstract, usually like blocks, very simple, no art, because you don't really need that. However, when you're making level design, that's the kind of stuff that that's where you really start to get constraints put on you in terms of what art assets you have. So when you start making a level, of course, like the grade blocking is very straightforward, where you don't have any art assets. You put down like some capture points, you put down some resource nodes, and then you start playtesting the game and figuring out like what kind of lanes are there here, like where should the player flow to, how are these resource nodes connected, and how are they fought over. And to establish that, you really have to study like previous entries into the game that you're creating levels for. So in my case, I took some time to go through the user-generated content for StarCraft, and take a look at like what's popular, what has been popular throughout the years, how do people go about like designing
Yeah, there must be so much data
boxes. Yeah, there's a whole bunch. There's a lot of like, and to this day, it's like Skyrim or any other game where user-generated content is publicly available. You have a lot of really interesting and active scenes for games that have not been officially supported for like over a decade at this point.
I mean, that's what I'm most excited about with this game, is that we'll also have a similar approach, and we'll definitely be looking at users' maps and what works and what doesn't work, and yeah, I like the sort of natural evolution of that, you know. So when it comes
to user-generated content, I just want to say, like, as a modder, a person who's made a bunch of mods and makes stuff in my spare time, I'm really trying to push the envelope when it comes to like making sure that our tools are accessible and actually useful. Having worked on like games like Squad, where I worked with like the modding tools and the modding teams to make sure that they had what they needed to release their content and make it not only like fun but actually like functional within the game. It's a huge like important, very personally important like element of game development, especially in this project for me. The ability for people to actually make content for a game and then have it seen and playable without much like technical overhead.
Cool. Did you actually make this map?
No, this was before my time. Unfortunately, there are several of the maps I'm working on will be released during early access, but yeah, these are before my time.
Because I mean, I like these map features here that we have. So for those new to the game, in the middle here, you'll just see there, if you put a unit on top of the central antenna crate thing, Nerf, if you want to move your units off for a second, and then move them back on again.
He's just busy bullying me.
Yeah, I wasn't going to ask how's it going.
It's going really
so
poorly.
Lucy, how's it going?
All of my units are like the past 2 turns.
So yeah, we have this thing here which allows line of sight and basically gives, while he's sitting on there, he has the advantage of being able to see the whole of the middle of the map, which is quite annoying for Lucy because basically she can't approach without him knowing about it, which obviously gives him time to react to any surprises she might have cooked up. And as we all know, Lucy loves her surprises. So and then we also have these like healy zones. Somebody give me a better word for them.
We'll go with triage centers.
Triage center, thank you. That's better. That's more in world. So yeah, if you're having a fight, you stick your units in there, and you'll get a bonus which forces your enemy to push forward and sort of disrupt you and push you off that triage, so that then they can get the Healy bonus before they move on and push on to your next resource node.
One interesting thing I find with level design within RTSs is that you have obviously like limitations on where certain units could go, but the ability to break those rules for certain categories is very fascinating. So here you can see Jakob has put together like a couple of units in the center, and those are limited to being able to move over specific lanes. However, if you look above one of the, in between 2 of the lanes, I think at the top left there of where you currently are, you've got a collection of helicopters that are hovering over an area inaccessible to
yeah, it's like they're parked there. That's quite cool.
Yeah. So we are in our map design. We do have the ability for aerial units to hop over certain areas, but at the same time, certain maps will also have the hard blockers for these aerial vehicles. So one of the maps that we'll be releasing later is like a urban level where we have like a bunch of like high rises. So as you can imagine, like the aircrafts cannot fly through or above them; they'll have to navigate around them.
Cool. Yeah, I was just wondering if you can go to the far extreme of the map and really go around. Like there's a canyon to the bottom, and there's this radar station to the north.
He's just busy fighting me off at the moment.
Fair enough. Yeah. Oh, hello. We've got a nice collection there. Sorry, just going to watch this battle. Just going to watch this battle. So yeah,
it's not much of a battle, though, is it?
I don't know. You're pushing him off. Little jet dudes over there. 747 strapped to their back. Oh, okay, he's bringing his copters now. Run away!
Oh shit. Nah, we're going for it. We're going for it.
I do love the death animations. That's my favourite thing in RTS is death animations.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh,
poop.
completely annihilated me. That was all I had, by the way. Those were all of my troops. I just got Nerd just finished me and my misery.
Well, we're not finished with this interview yet, sorry.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we just have to prolong your suffering a little bit longer.
So something I wanted to chat about was limitations in gaming and as a designer, right? So, I've been watching games and, the feedback and stuff, and like something people...
I'm still in an interview.
You still here?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Something that people talking about is, pop caps and limits, right? And so, we sort of live in a day where people want unlimited customization and be able to do a lot and play around and of course mod and stuff. But when you're a game designer, you obviously have to strike a balance, right, between giving players freedom to sort of express themselves and do stuff. But obviously there are technical limitations and things that set why you have a pop cap of 200 as you do in this game. Have you got any insights on that?
Sorry, I think I cut out halfway through. Could you re-explain the question? Could you restate the question?
Sorry, so there's a population cap of 200, right?
Yes.
Why is it 200 and not 250? Or, why do you introduce limits like this when you're doing an RTS game?
Oh, I see. Yeah. So
from a design perspective, yeah?
Yeah. There are limits. Figuring out like the maximum, figuring out what the ceiling is for, systems is always a challenge. Realistically, the only way to go about like figuring out what numbers are the best is simply to playtest a bunch and figure out which ones like feel right. It's very much like at that point, like establishing the systems is one thing, but like figuring out what their ceilings and floors for statistics should be is more of an art that's inspired or like informed by science, in our case like telemetry. And playtesting, when we figured out through playtesting what our numbers were supposed to be, it should be noted that the number of 200 was chosen for this mode specifically. We'll have other game modes that have different limitations on population, so that like you have the right amount of units. You never have too many units in order for the game mode to like function as intended and to like get the maximum amount of fun out of it. But another element to it that's really important is not only like the maximum population, but also looking at the breakdown of like how much each unit cost in terms of population. That really like complicates things further. But like at the same time, like having nice round numbers is very useful, because then you can put together like, you can keep in mind like using that like large round number, you could put together numbers for units that will create like natural caps and make it so that you don't have too many of a specific unit, or you're not disincentivized from using other units. So in a sense, like it's one element, it's just another like facet that could be used for game balance, much like figuring out what the DPS of a unit is, or what their movement or their range is. Population cap, both in meta term of like how much is allowed in total, but also how much each unit costs individually, is like another way of like really fine-tuning the balance of your game. And that's like to a large degree, like when it comes to RTSs, like having those breakdowns in place is very useful for like tuning. You want to be able to like modulate and like test every single facet of both the unit and the gameplay or game mode in a general sense. So you can really like figure out like where the fun is, and at that point, it really just takes a lot of like playtesting and balancing, which is why we went into this private beta, and to a large degree why we're deciding to go into early access,
exactly, yeah.
So that we can like spend a lot of time not only chatting with our, not only looking at the telemetry and analytics of how people are playing our game, but then taking that data and chatting with people through our Discord and our other social media to figure out like what's working, what's not, what numbers need to be tweaked, and trying out different balance revisions. So, and playtesting them with our private community so that we get an idea of what works best and what we'll have to achieve for like a successful 1.0.
I mean, it'll be an ongoing process, and that's what I'm excited about. There will be modding, and if the community zeroes in on a particular rule set or something that they particularly like, then of course we'll give it some serious consideration.
Oh, sorry. There's one guy here who just dropped in DP Cole.
Yes.
He asked, did they talk about mod issues? Yeah. I just came here before. I don't know if he's referring to like modding in the sense of like making content for games, or if he's talking about moderation on the.
I think he means. I think it means making content for the games, because that's quite a common question that a lot of people are interested in, especially with this game.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'll just go over it once more. So, like, mod issues, we're planning it, putting a lot of, like, effort into making sure user-generated content is functional as intended, and is super easy to create maps and modify game modes and units, and upload that to the Steam Workshop, and essentially be able to have as few impediments to playing with mods as possible. And as I mentioned earlier, I have a lot of experience with making sure that, like, mods were properly integrated into previous games I worked on, such as Squad, and I've been a modder for like over like a decade at this point. So rest assured that there's someone who's like who knows modding, who's in charge of making sure that the mods come out and the tools are like actually usable. In fact, on that note, like I'll be like working on some more prototypes for maps in the near future, and in order to drive this point home, we do have like so like a little bit of back-end knowledge. We use Unity to make our game. Pretty big, popular engine, really good. But ideally for like the initial prototypes and grade blocks of our game, or of our new maps, ideally I'll be using the modding tools in order to create the first iterations of those, so that we could so that I could personally validate and see like what's the process like, how hard is it to actually get like a playable map. Are we able to like get the same, or as me as a professional game designer, am I able to achieve the same results in our user-generated content tools as in our like professional like back-end building software?
Cool. Yeah. So yeah, you were saying you've been on the project 8 months. What was one of the first difficulties you came across, and how did you overcome it? There's a question from chat.
Yeah. So I think one of the that's a good question.
There have been no difficulties. Answer. I'm a perfect game designer.
Great. There's never. Yeah. Well, I'm not, but my team's perfect. They're really wonderful. Let's see. I think probably one of the.
Turning the computer on in the morning.
I'm just trying to think. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the best answer for this, because there's definitely a lot of stuff that I could bring up, but a lot of it is for. A lot of it is like future facing, and like I guess in abstract is we've been trying to figure out like in 2022 like how do you best utilize your time in early access, and how do we justify people providing us with money for a game that we're working on in order to polish it and bring it to like 1.0, and more generally, like in more abstract terms, like how do you best use your time in early access in order to listen to the community and create a game that will organically foster I don't want to say competitive in the sense of esports, but how do we create a game that's fun and fosters like a naturally competitive scene where people are playing and enjoying the game, and maybe even like starting to form their own little tournaments or like events outside of like our oversight. So in general, that was like one of the big challenges when I like first came on, and so far we're making good progress. I can't obviously talk in like specifics, but I think we have a pretty good plan for early access, and as our roadmap gets detailed, I think you'll start to see like the fruits of what I was talking about.
Cool. Well, that's exciting stuff. So I must ask you, what are you? Are you blacklist or global list? Global risk.
I think Blacklist is probably like ideologically probably closer to them, but like playstyle,
Rebel.
I would also say closer to Blacklist than Global Risk.
Yeah,
I started out
with
with Global Risk. Whenever we get new members or new members on the development team, I always encourage them to play the game as Global Risk and give the game a shot, as I believe they're the least complicated, easiest to pick up faction. However, with Blacklist, I'm a big fan of stealth mechanics. So being able to teleport, use stealth mechanics, and have a bunch of interesting faction-specific upgrades that will allow you to use your abilities, use your like stealth abilities to your advantage, like really appeals to me. But I'm also a big fan of like lateral game design like that, where you don't do direct confrontation, but instead you can use like really interesting like combinations of mechanics that aren't necessarily the most competitive, but like utilizing the mechanics to do stuff that other players like don't really expect. Really,
like what?
Really appeals to me. So an example would be like using Ghost Core. One of my favorite things to do is like
Kuba, do you want to show that off in the center?
Of, like aerial scouting, and then using the Ghost Core, which is the teleporting commander ability, to set up a forward operating base like behind enemy lines. Of course, this is like after I figure out where exactly all the defenses are, where are all the players' defensive points, as well as like staging areas, and then going in behind the front lines. And
I think Kuba's about to demonstrate this quite successfully.
Yep, exactly.
Kuba, do it. Show it off.
Let's see.
No. Oh god.
Don't do it.
Happen?
So there we go. He's brought in the Ghost Core, and now he's teleporting his main army across the barrier, and they are stealthed, and now they are in the back of Lucy's base. Have fun. You gads. Because her army is all the way over here.
Oh, God.
Because he moved his army away from where Lucy wanted to go. Because he was being sneaky. And that Ghost Core provides a little healing zone as well. Quick, build another base. Because I just realized you didn't build a second base for your resource collectors.
No, I only bought one base.
Ah.
I didn't know you had to build two bases. Nobody told me that. Be a bit late now, thank you.
Well, I was like watching it during the game, and I was like, could I message her? Would she see it? But it is your second time playing, so fair enough. But this is how we learn, isn't it? We learn through defeat.
And then we cry.
Yep, and then we pick ourselves up, and we rage on the internet, and then we improve and get better. And then it's only once we are at the top of the season ladders that we... Oh, there we go. That's the end of the game. Very good. Cool. So, yeah, that was rather interesting. What should we do next, guys? How should we set this up?
Can I go global risk right now?
Sure.
Because I've kind of got to the end of my formal questions. So I'm going to go through the community questions. I don't know if you want to play with the community, because they're sitting there happily watching.
Sure, we could make we could start like a 3v3.
I mean, you and I will carry on in spectator mode, watching stuff and talking, but feel free to expand it, guys, if you want. What do you fancy, Kuba? You've been very quiet recently.
I'm gonna team up with Lucy. That's gonna be one odd thing for me to do. I'm gonna team up with Lucy, and we're going for the bigger map.
Cool.
You're going to take on the AI or players? Yeah. It's probably easy to do AI, to be honest. Because you're the host, and I don't know if you... Actually, no, sorry, of course. People can just drop in and out of the game, can't they?
Yep.
I'm not used to the spectator mode and open lobbies and stuff. But it is a cool feature to have right from day one. And is a good example of the competitive focus that this game is going to have.
Okay, I sent you an invite to this new. So you need to leave that.
Yeah, I was in the wrong lobby. Yep. There we go.
I just need to stop the spectator mode.
Sweet. Anybody got any questions in Twitch chat before I move on to Discord chat? I wish the spectator could add a function to players' resource status. So if you press backscape, you can see people's scores, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Cuba. There is a there is a score there for the resource score.
Because the resources for the units, for the workers, I believe, and for the any kind of.
I'm not sure if you can do it as spectator, so I'll try it when we're spectating. But I know as a player you can do that. It's kind of an influence of current resources. You can definitely tell who's got the more resources.
Ready up, Lucy.
Ah, cool. Dark Knight.
I am readying
Dark
up.
Knight.
Sorry.
Excellent.
I'm
Good
slow.
luck. Have fun.
Jelly Chef.
Any more questions? Twitch chat?
I think there were some questions in the Discord.
Yeah,
as
I know.
well.
I'm just making sure Twitch chat is before I move on to Discord.
Yeah, we like them more.
Yeah.
Just don't tell the Discord guys.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, guys. What about
Community
you?
dies and disappears thanks to Maurice.
No, yeah.
My work. My work. Dear. Well, I don't have to invite you back, I suppose. Will you guys be putting out a balance patch in the next few weeks? I don't think we'll be doing a balance patch per se, because at the end of the day, not all the units are in the game. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't make sense to focus too heavily on balance until your game is in a solid, comfortable position with all the units and features in it that you want. I mean, of course, they'll if something's totally unreasonable, then I'm sure we'll patch it, and when we reach certain milestones, maybe there'll be balance patches. But yeah, maybe Maurice knows what the approach will be.
Yeah. So we are planning. We actually are planning a balance patch after the technical test. We have We have a couple of other milestones coming up where we'll have. We have a couple opportunities to add balance patches. And realistically, how this is gonna go down is I'll be reading through the community feedback in the Discord, as well as through the Google surveys that people have been filling out, and from there we'll be using that to identify comparing what's being said in our Discord/surveys. Then we're going to compare that to what the telemetry of our game is saying. And we're going to put together a couple of balance patches based off of our upcoming timelines. So there's likely going to be stuff. We're going to be doing a couple other closed events for testing in the future prior to our early access release. So it'll be a matter of separating what are we going to balance, what are we going to address for our next events prior to early access. And then what are we going to balance for early access release? So yeah, it's going to be interesting to figure out because there's some stuff independent of content that'll be released on launch that we could balance. But there'll also be a couple of quality of life issues, as well as inherent bugs and miscommunicate mechanics that have to be addressed. So yeah, really it comes down to figuring out what our community's saying, and then trying to prioritize what are we going to fix, what's most important, what's nice to have versus what is something that could wait until early access or post early access.
But I think new units will come in early access, right? That's
Correct.
one of the questions from Panda Knight. Hello, Panda Knight, by the way. Good to see you. And the next question I see in chat is, will there be server selection in the future? I believe so, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yes. Perhaps SFXA, you could explain further in case we didn't answer your question. But at the moment, we do have server selection in terms of a lobby. You're able to select from a list of lobbies. But if you're talking about server selection in terms of being able to play in a server from your region. We have been talking about like trying to communicate which servers and which lobbies are in which region of the world, or maybe showing the latency more generally, so that players can more comfortably like select or make a more like sound decision of what lobby to join in order to get the best experience in terms of like low latency.
Yeah, exactly. Like Japanox just said in chat, yeah, he's from Korea and he's playing with people in the EU and he's having difficulties, which is totally understandable. But of course, it's a technical test. These are things that we're keeping in mind and will obviously improve in future. What defines a region? I presume where the host is, their continental region. They're fairly...
I'm already being attacked.
Build up,
AI.
girl, build up.
I am.
Rescue her! Rescue her!
AI is ruthless.
Running.
Yeah.
The AI is fairly ruthless in this game, it's true. But
yeah. So in terms of defining regions, like obviously it's all still up to like revisions, but so far it's likely going to be like broken down into like continents. So you got your like North America, you got your Europe, you got your Asia, you got your Southeast Asia, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, there's fairly standard norms in gaming. Lucy, you need to start a new base as soon as you can and get those resources.
So Dark Knight asks how long will we be able to play the test? It is active for another week, so get your gaming in. You can get your gaming in until the 1st, I believe.
Yes, I believe so. Is that the 1st? It's basically next Friday.
Is it next Friday?
No, it's the 4th. It's the 4th. Sorry, it's the 4th.
Oh, okay.
What I've been told. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll reassess the situation if there's a sudden influx and things change, or we've got more tests. But at some point, we obviously have to close it down, say this is enough data, and you guys at BBI need to get on with it for the next update, because as much as we'd like to keep it alive forever, sometimes you just have to focus and close down tests, because I mean we'll be sending them all the info from Steam and Discord, and they've obviously got the surveys and stuff, and they'll be going through it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But yeah, it's quite exciting to be making this game in tandem with you guys.
Sasisha has an interesting point where about like the random stuttering issues, where that's one of the issues, one of the risks going into the beta that I was concerned about. Same with the press event, is that there seems to be some issues with players who are in different continents playing with each other. Sometimes it tends to be, most of the time it tends to be like pretty smooth, but if I understand correctly, like if the host has like if the host is having some sort of interruption with their internet service, then like that's when the stuttering tends to occur. But this is something that we'll be prioritizing for like early access launch, so it's as smooth as possible. So, yep, we're on it. Cool. But hopefully it'll be just a matter of like creating more efficient garbage collection issues. So, but yeah, even like locally when we're play testing in the office, like sometimes if we're playing on someone who has like poorer internet, then the experience tends to stutter. But ideally we'll ideally like be able to find an easy improvement and get ready for the next technical test.
Cool. So I'm going into Discord now to go through those questions, because I promised answers to these people. So we'll start with Ambergristalist, name I'm going to have to practice pronouncing. I'm apologising profusely. So what are your plans for co-op and PvE gameplay to keep players interested in playing those game modes as well as the multiplayer, I presume he means? Yeah, we do have a lot of plans, and there's going to be a lot of game modes which you can play against the environment, against various different AIs. If you go on our website, there is a whole list of the planned play modes. You know, there's one where like the AI sends constant waves at you, and you have to sort of survive with your mates. And there's another one which is like a Skynet situation. Can you remember any more off the top of your head, Maurice?
Yep. So we've got for PvE we have We have, there's definitely like PvE elements within the co-op where the co-op will essentially allow 3 players to play together through scripted missions, similar but different to the single-player campaign. We have a couple of other game modes that we haven't officially announced yet that will take advantage of like PvE elements. And so for those we so far can't speak in specifics, but we have a couple of like we have one game mode with 2 maps that will allow players to experience like PvE elements while also fighting against other players. But I can't give much more detail than that. We do have a traditional payload game mode that we're working on as well that will have a certain degree of like PvE as well.
Cool. Yeah, there's definitely lots planned. We just unfortunately can't give you much more details at this point. But from what I'm seeing, I'm pretty excited by all the different options, because I'm also not the most nimble person for them. My reaction speeds aren't great for hardcore multiplayer, so I also enjoy a good comp stomp and playing with friends co-op style at the weekend. So we definitely got you guys in mind. For the map editor, will we be able to use our own textures and materials? And I guess he also means for modding later down the line. I guess it's too early to say.
At the moment, we are focusing on making sure that the tools work,
Exactly.
using the existing art assets. It's something that we're like toying with. Like ideally, yeah, as a designer, I would like to have full access and ability to add additional content in terms of like textures and possibly even 3D models. But at the moment, we're going to stick with allowing players to make games or make levels using existing assets. And thankfully, at this point, as you've seen with the 2 levels so far, we have a pretty wide variety of 3D models at our disposal. We also have a pretty decent palette of urban assets as well as jungle assets.
Yeah, people like those.
So we've got like, people love
cityscapes and things.
Yeah, so far for our asset palette, we'll have city, jungle, railway, or like / industrial, desert, and what am I missing? Also Arctic, so like winter tundra. So we have a pretty wide selection of assets at this point to use. However, like I do understand like sometimes like you'll like want to add an asset or a model that's just like not there, and you'll want to like put it together yourself. So I get it, but at the moment we're gonna probably be in our initial launch will most likely not feature like custom asset inputs specifically.
Yeah, cool. Right, moving on to Netput. How will you monetize the game? Will it be free to play or one-time purchase? Well, we haven't decided yet. And yeah, it's something we'll know closer to the time. It's definitely too early to speculate on that. Will there be a deck system in place, leaving and/or replacing units and the balance issues that will require? Yes, the sort of people have already cottoned on to the fact that there's going to be some sort of deck style system in the way that they've seen in the technical test things are set up. Do you want to talk about that, Maurice, and what ideas you've got around that? And yeah, it's going to be a balancing thing, isn't it?
Yes. So as you like roster selection is going to play a pretty important like meta part of our game. I've been playing a lot of tabletop war games for basically most of my life at this point. So making lists and putting together builds that you'll bring to an army is a really it's something that I'm like an experience that is really important to me, and I've been doing a bunch of in the past. So ideally, like this roster system will provide players with a means of figuring out exactly what kind of composition of units they wish to bring to the battlefield, as well as what kind of commander they want to lead that force. So ideally, like, we're going to have a system in place where players are able to modify like what units they'll bring, and of course, like, those units will be like, they'll have to figure out like what are the tier ones they're going to bring, how are those going to harmonize with like the tier 2, tier 3, and they'll also have to make sure that they have all of their uh, bases covered. So not only do you want to make sure like you have this like super powerful like anvil of a roster that can break through front lines, but you're also going to have to make sure that sledgehammer you're working on has like anti-air capability, so that a player doesn't just swoop over you and annihilate your force with a unit that you cannot target. Or in another situation, you also want a certain amount of units that could detect stealth, because there are several units in this game that can hide from plain sight, and there are also units that could detect them if they get within range of them. So making sure that you have all your bases covered, while also creating a roster that will win you like the victory at the end of the day, is going to be like an interesting meta challenge that players will be able to take with them outside of the game that they're playing at any point, and like take it with them throughout the day and think, okay, how could I best improve this like synergy between these formations? Maybe these commander abilities would be better for leading this roster into battle, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to all those meta options, because you don't normally get those in RTS. It's quite a level of detail that I've seen planned for Crossfire Legion. So yeah, that's going to be cool.
Yeah, there's also, I also feel like there is like with the card deck system, I feel like there's a lot of interesting opportunities for like because like one thing that should be kept in mind is that this roster, like, you're able to pick it while you're in the lobby. You're also able to create presets, but I think there's a lot of interesting like potential for mechanics where players will have to go back and forth in terms of like picking what units they bring out to the front lines. So there's a lot of like interesting design potential. Not to say that we're like dedicated to any of those mentioned ideas, but there's a lot of interesting like design space to work within.
Cool. Moving on. Mr. Oh God, why do you people always have Discord names which are so hard to pronounce? Mr. Sizniak. I don't know. Anyway, you know who you are. So yeah, how important is balance to success? Only a few RTS have a healthy player base, and their common feature is down to the huge amount of effort it requires to accomplish decent balance. And so yes, is it possible to perfectly balance an RTS game?
No game is perfectly balanced, in my opinion. You have, like, I think that like perfect balance is something that you strive for, but you never fully achieve. Really, when it comes down to maybe the most balanced game out there, there's definitely going to be like a lot of arguments to be something like chess. That's probably the closest I believe humanity
rock, paper, scissors,
has come to like. Rock, paper, scissors, exactly. Yeah, that's a good example. But like in terms of like RTS, like a lot of the design time for this game is going to be like looking at like rebalancing statistics of our units so that we have the best possible balance for the game. Because I'm total agreement with this individual that one of the things that really makes or breaks a good RTS and extends its longevity is having like balance, like having like really meaningful and well thought out balance revisions that help bring the game into like a more playable state. But not only like thinking of balance in terms of like, oh, this like X or Y isn't working, and once I balance it, it'll like continue to work. But keeping in mind that a large part of balancing is like, okay, like we have like this stable system that's working at the moment. However, we can bring, if we want to change up the meta, like rebalancing a game like is another like cost-effective way of doing that, where making revisions will change how the game plays, and you'll be able to like get a new experience, or like have like the experience be changed in like marketable ways.
Yeah, sounds cool. You've pretty much touched on all his other questions as well. Yeah, he's just talking about also he's interested in the balance between micro and macro elements in the game and sort of where your priorities lie. But I think you've already touched that macro is definitely going to be more of a priority than, say, other RTSs, but that's not to say, with all the commander's abilities, there's also a fair amount of micro as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one. Moving on, Sauron, we've already talked about
Getting
Paymo.
annihilated.
Oh yes, sorry, Lucy. You've got all these. I don't know if you guys are aware. You've got all these resource points which are unoccupied, which are totally far away from the AI, which you could have occupied and got resources that way.
Yeah. Speaking of
resources.
macros.
Sorry.
Speaking of macros, yeah, that's one of the tougher things with this game is like making sure or with this game mode is not only building your army but also facilitating expansion. In a very traditional RTS experience, yeah, you're not only building your army, but you want to expand your production and make sure that your macro mechanics are working for you, so that you have enough of a economy to not only fight but also sustain the losses you take, because you can build an army, but if it's wounded and battered, and it'll take you quite a while to put it back together.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, I can see that going on here. Cool. Let's see. Yep. Sauron. I know infantry is very effective at the moment, but of course that's a balancing issue, which we've already discussed. The kamikaze. Will there be mod support? Yes. God me. What about balancing economy? Will you just reduce the amount that can be gathered per mine, or are you pretty set with how you see the economy of this game?
Oh yeah, it's all open to revision. Again, we're going to be looking for what our community is saying, but also again, I want to stress that we're not just going off of the loudest voices in the Discord. We're comparing what is being said about our game to our analytics that we're receiving to figure out what's being said, what's being felt, and what's actually happening. And based off of those three criteria, we're going to figure out what changes should be made, and that could include modifying how much resources are extracted per worker per load. While also figuring out what should the maximum amount of resources be for the various fuel nodes.
Oh,
and of course this is all I assume that this individual's talking in the context of the available game mode.
Yes, yeah.
Availability of resources will vary from game mode to game mode.
Cool. And yes, that also covers what they asked for next. It's all the things are to do with decreasing population requirements, and what's your plan for fixing the long infantry phase? Again, that's a balance thing, because I know infantry is dominating quite a lot at the moment in the competitive players. But yeah, the fact that you've played it and you've discovered that the infantry phase is super long is the purpose of having a technical test.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So yeah, we're really grateful for that, guys. Thanks for the questions. How many units and per faction? Yeah, how many units and commanders per faction are you looking at the launch of the game? Again, unfortunately, we can't give full details, but more is the answer. I think that you already know that there'll be 3 commanders per faction, but the number of units is still to be decided, I think. What's the approximate rate of adding units? I think we already discussed this with it's subsequent tests and early access and stuff, and I don't think we could give you an approximate rate 2 units per month. No, nothing like that.
We can't give specifics, but another part of the technical test is another goal internally for us is to see how long it'll take us to receive feedback, interpret feedback, and then implement an action item based off of what our community was telling us. And ideally, by the end of this technical test, we'll have a rough idea of how long it'll take us to actually put together and implement revisions, and from there we're hoping to get good idea for like what our cadence of release should be, because not only are we working on new assets for our game, but we're also going to be obviously having to like fix issues that crop up, as well as like make revisions to the design that are brought up by our community. So this is kind of like this technical test is also like a test on the development team to figure out how quickly we could react to feedback and use it to like create more realistic expectations and expectations on like when we could release new content.
Yeah, cool. Let's see what else we got here. So we got infantry, we've got tanks, we've got air. Yeah, a lot of air, as you can see. Yeah.
We also got support going on too. Those 2 heralds.
Yeah.
2 shield craft.
Yeah, talk about the support, because it's quite a lot of... Basically, the question the person is asking, what other types of units will there be, or plans, or... But also, yeah, I'm interested with all the support units and stuff that you were thinking was there.
Yeah, so the support units are interesting. They can do a wide variety of things. We have some mixed systems that can provide players with, as you saw there, like shields. The player is able to put together a like a couple of heralds close to each other that'll provide shields for like an approaching infantry, so they take less damage. Other supportive vehicles will provide debuffs to enemies. So there's the chameleon, I believe, that is on the global that the Blacklist has available to them. This unit will allow players to create, basically stun their opponents, or create a like secondary effect that has to be unlocked, which will provide like not only a debuff but a what's the word I'm looking for? Will stun them so that they're not able to like react or move or shoot as quickly as they would normally.
I see, cool. And as for other unit types, I don't think we've got ships planned or anything like that. But in the campaign...
Like naval ships? No.
No. So it is land and air, primarily.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of other unit types. But yeah, I'm fascinated with the support ones, and there might be more.
Oh, yeah, there is like subtypes that are interesting. So like I can't confirm like greater details, but we do have a mechanic that we're working on that allows you to garrison units within other units, essentially creating transports as a subtype.
Nice.
So we're playing around with that. So players will be able to garrison units and move them around the map a lot more quickly, and do some really interesting like maneuvers with that. So
and structures. So will they be able to garrison structures?
Pardon?
Will they be able to garrison structures? No. Okay.
No, not quite yet.
No worries. I've also just noticed that the AI builds radially, like in a star shape, out.
Yeah, it's very pretty.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, we do have in terms of like garrisoning structures that players build. That is like a discussion that I had with the designer who I was replacing when I was brought onto the team. I do think that there's some room for like environmental interaction, but at the same time, like we are trying to go for more of like a StarCraft, like StarCraft Red Alert experience, and I feel that like garrisoning structures, both player-made and environmental, is more in like the tactical realm of something like Company of Heroes, as opposed to the more like grand strategy experience of StarCraft that we're aiming for.
So what's your favorite unit? That's what I wondered.
Favorite unit available in the
in the technical test.
In the technical demo. Just thinking to think about that.
I mean, clearly it's the Japanese.
I do like the microwave gun.
Yeah,
the microwave like truck cool. Is really cool.
Yeah, I thought you'd say Blacklist things, but yeah, mine's the Morningstar, and Kuba's here is definitely the...
Morningstar is pretty damn good.
I like all the options that it has, its abilities and stuff.
I think, but probably like either for Blacklist it would be the Crocodile, aka the microwave truck.
Sure.
But for global risk, it would definitely be like the infantry trooper. The regular one that you can pump full of drugs. I found
the
that,
stim.
at
You haven't taken that from StarCraft at all, the stim packs.
yeah,
No, never.
I think at this point, like that, I do like that, but it is also indicative of what the chat is bringing up, stating that like the game has a pretty infantry-heavy meta, and that strategy seems to be dominating at the moment. And I feel that the Global Risk Trooper is like a really good example of that, where one of the better strategies at the moment, from what I've observed in the technical test, is to basically create a bunch of infantry brigades, I believe they're called, for Global Risk. Barracks, a bunch of barracks, and then just like pump them out as quick as possible. And then like with Global Risk, it's further incentivized by the one R&D ability that they have, which allows you to improve production time. So you're able to like almost like in the Soviet Union, just like send waves after waves of like conscripts into a problem, and more often
Doesn't really fit the MO with Global Risk, does it?
Yeah, they'll just figure it out. They just be overwhelmed, and then like even if you take care of it, there'll be another queued wave ready to like take the place of everyone who's fallen. So yeah, at the moment that is like that is subject to revision, so that it's less can be less like abused. But at the moment, yeah, it is definitely like fun to pull off. But again, we'll make sure like not to be too like reactionary with our design revisions, where infantry, heavy emphasis on infantry in order to win the game is definitely like there's an overemphasis, but at the same time I don't want us to remove that as a potential playstyle, because it's definitely fun to see like boatloads of units flying around the map, or walking, or driving.
Yeah, I mean it adapts. You know, the community will center around one meta, and then somebody will find the counter, and you know.
Precisely. Oh yeah, regarding meta, like it's another bit of like my background as a gamer. I've been playing like competitive like Street Fighter for I guess like more actively from 2010 to 2015. But like I played it more casually, but still took part in like communities up until like 2020. So I get the idea. I understand like how metas develop to a certain degree, and like how they get countered, and like how does that happen organically within a community, and how do players react, or how do the developers react to that in revisions to their games. So ideally, like rest assured, there's like the designers are like aware and like literate of these issues on the team, and how these like trends develop.
So moving on to Sinstro's questions. Yep, we talked about balance and UI. That's an interesting one. Yes, I'm sure we're getting feedback about the UI, and of course it's better in game than it is in the lobby screen with the minimap and stuff. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be many more improvements on that, and improving readability and expanding the minimap if you want. And do you know any more about that?
Yeah, so we do have in terms of our UI, like there's a fair bit of like quality of life improvements we can make. We'll also like fixing issues where like at the moment there are some like issues that fell under the radar, that flew under the radar into this technical test, such as the text that explains that you're supposed to be able to recuperate commander points by killing units. This is inaccurate. You're not supposed to be able to do that. That's text from a other game mode that's supposed to not be active. So
so
there's definitely a lot of like
so they won't be recoupable on multiplayer maps and game modes like this one. So choose your bombards wisely, people.
Exactly. Yeah, you'll have a couple. Don't waste them.
Wayward, yes, we love Wayward. You're great. You make some very good articles on RTS design. So Wayward asks, are there any plans to change the loadout that will alter one thing about the faction? Yep, we talked about different commanders, add new turrets, modify existing faction turrets, or commander that causes supply depot to have different abilities, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I get where he's coming from. Yeah, that's we can't commit to anything, but like I have been like putting together a couple of pitches that explore that idea of like how do you make structures, and like how do you make army abilities, like how can you vary that, and how can you like integrate that into the card system to create like more depth and complexity within.
Oh, I see what they mean. Like a supply depot for Warden might do something different to a supply depot for Cardinal or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of opportunity for that, or even like creating a new card entirely, which could dictate that. Right? There's a lot of potential. That's one of the reasons why I like the card system, and in general why I like list building so much. I feel that it really adds. It adds a lot of like complexity, and like there's a lot of lessons to be learned from previous like analog war games that you could learn from. And RTS is to a large degree like I feel like with recent installments going back as far back as Company of Heroes 2, you start to see more of a influence in like being able to bring stuff, using card systems to like modify what kind of commanders and abilities you have available to you throughout the game. So yeah, it's nice to see games start to like take advantage of more analog design traditions.
Messerem asks, when and more? And we reply,
when and more.
Yes.
Eventually. Yes.
Eventually. Soon. TM. Moving on. Barbaric Ender. With no prior knowledge of the universe, what is the world building that you will have done to make people enjoy the game beyond it? Ooh, it's a shiny new RTS in the world that is lacking in the huge competitive scene, and basically, they're interested in how you went about starting with an IP which, if I understand, Crossfire doesn't have the most in-depth lore from its beginning.
Ash, you ought to read the Crossfire wiki. That is a real trip to read. There is lore, good sir. There is plenty of lore.
Yeah. Too much lore.
Yeah. There's also there's also a lot of like indirect lore. Like there was a Chinese drama that was set like.
Oh yes, there's a TV
Crossfire.
series I keep hearing about. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean obviously none of that's like said, but like. I mean, there is, like, I think that is a misconception. I think that might be mostly a cultural misconception where a game like Crossfire Legion is statistically, like, far more popular in, like, non-Western, non-English-speaking spaces. And, I think, but at the same time, it's kind of like, it definitely has, it's got a similar, like, it's got a lot of lore. There are Wikipedia articles. And I'd recommend everyone to go check out the Crossfire Legion wiki, because then you'll see there's a whole bunch of like, there's like set characters, there's like narrative of like these characters interacting with each other, there's like socio-political themes and descriptions of how these like factions fight each other in like a terrorist / counterinsurgency style combat. But there's also zombies, and there's also like
there's also zombies.
That, like,
just end it there. End of stream. There are also zombies.
Yep.
And
yeah, exactly. There's also zombies and a bunch of other wacky, like interesting plot points.
So what you're saying from a Crossfire Legion perspective is, yes, there is lore. Yes, we're aware of it, but we're not beholden to it.
Yeah, essentially, that's one of the nice things about setting this, like, I don't remember the exact time, but I believe, like, this is, like, 50 or so years, like, ahead of the Crossfire Legion timeline, where things have escalated, and now, like, the factions have, like,
the zombies have been dealt with.
significantly sized armies to, like, fight each other, and, yeah.
Okay, I'm looking forward to zombie mode.
Oh, yeah, no, that'd be great.
Localization is coming later, Mezoram? That's another question.
Yep, we're working on it. Right now, actually, we received emails last week about, like Eastern European languages that, like, are missing like Cyrillic alphabet, sorry, what do you call them? I guess letters, yeah, just Cyrillic letters. So, yeah, we're working on it. It's in the game. It's incomplete. We were debating actually like releasing some of the other like translations for our game, but opted against it just because like it's there. We didn't really want to half-ass it. We figured it would be best to just leave it in English.
Wait until it's ready, yeah, and you've actually finalized on the text, because you don't want to localize and then things change, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's not a good look. It looks sloppy.
Cool. And Joel asks about competitive features. Yes. So will there be hosted tournaments? Will be partnerships with ESL and ESL? Yes, and the answer is yes. We will be doing things to promote the competitive side of things. There will be tournaments. And you'll just have to wait and see exactly what collaborations we've got planned. But yeah, don't worry, guys. We've got you covered. And I think the StarCraft 2 people will be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
I
think I do want to mention a note. I want to mention a note about competitive play, though, where recently, like, on that note, I've been, like, there's this wonderful YouTuber called Nerdslayer who does a series called Death of the Game. Where he goes over like various like games, MMOs, competitive shooters, so on and so forth, and he like tracks the lifetime of them and what eventually led to their failure. And he did like a really good video on Overwatch and a couple of other competitive like games, which tried to like, in his view, which of course like take it with a grain of salt, just like another person on the internet, but he has some very good points about games that try to force a competitive scene prior to like the game having like an established like hardcore like regular group of like players. And ideally, like what I'm getting at is like with this game, I'm very cognizant of like trying to like organically grow a competitive scene in our game without like forcing it to grow too quick or like get too big for its like shoes before it's like ready to fit them.
Cool. Yeah, definitely. So I think that takes us all through all the Discord questions. Let me just have another check. Oh yes, custom keybinds. I think that's definitely on the agenda, isn't it? At some point. Or I could be wrong.
There's one guy here, Ulrich. He says like, how come people say Crossfire isn't known in the West? I played Crossfire as my main FPS for like 10 years.
Oh, cool.
I think that a lot of people did, because it's one thing that's important to note about Crossfire Legion is that it was one of the first like very successful free-to-play first-person shooters. So, I mean, I remember like there was a time when I was like in the beginning of high school, leaving like elementary school, and I was like, okay, well, let's see what's free online. And then there was Crossfire, and I was like, damn, this is pretty good. So yeah, there are a lot of folks who have played it. It is like definitely a game that's known to the West, but it's not as known in the West as it would
I
be
don't
in other
think in Europe.
regions.
Yeah, I mean, I've never come across the franchise, and I've been following RTS and these things, free games and stuff. But maybe because of Canada has many influences from all over the place, maybe it was different. I don't know. But cool, yeah. It's an established brand, but there's also room for a new audience and more things, which is cool.
Yep.
Let me just double check questions that we've got. If you've got any more questions, guys, feel free to pop them in chat. We're looking forward to seeing them. Yep, I think I've dealt with all the Discord questions now. Oh right, sorry. Celshash didn't really understand the thing about the global. The ability energy for commanders and stuff. What the situation there was. Do you mind going over that again?
Sure. So essentially, from the top, you have the ability. You have commanders that you bring into every fight. Those commanders will have 2 abilities. Those abilities will cost commander energy, and commander energy in standard versus, which is what was available in the technical demo, is only available in a the commander energy is only available. Let me collect my thoughts here. So like the commander abilities are fueled by commander energy, and in standard versus, this is energy that you cannot replenish. However, like you're able to replenish it in other game modes, and one of the failures. This is one of those things where there's like it's a good example of like game dev where you're working on so many things and you perceive certain issues as like big technical issues that you put a lot of emphasis on, but in reality, like one of the biggest like failures of this technical test so far is that like we didn't. There was one simple UI change that could have been made that would indicate like that would properly explain how this commander energy worked, but we like slipped and didn't like fix it in time, and it led to a lot of confusion or people saying like, "Oh, this is broken," and then that would lead them to assume that the energy could be replenished. And that would significantly change how like the course of the game would go and what the player perception of the game mode will be. So we essentially have a lot of people who assume that they rightfully assume because they've been told that this energy should replenish, and a lot of their discussion of how the game mode works and how this game mode functions is like affected by that small little mistake. So.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know if that answered their question.
I think it does.
I thought it would be an interesting design insight for the team.
Cool. Right, let's check in with our guinea pigs, Nerf and Lucy. How you doing, Lucy?
I died a long time ago, guys.
Yeah.
Nerf has been carrying the game. I had like one troop alive, and that was about it. But Nerd's carrying the game.
You've got one microwave tank. I like to see
fine.
it. He's just, he's vibing. He's just chilling out there.
Oh, he's just vibing. Precisely.
All over the place.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd get a worker out so that you could go populate somewhere safer, but
he's just been hitting everyone with javelins.
I've been following his javelins around the map. One trick pony, aren't you?
Yeah.
We've got a couple of
against Will is going to work against everybody else.
Yeah, it was this nice, beautiful radial AI structure plan, and I'm not sure how you're going to, you're starting to break it.
I need to heal my javelins because they got hit.
You got any question, guys, from playing? Anything you would like clarifying, Lucy, or anything that
Lucy
popped up to you?
has one unit left.
Yep.
It's
YOLO.
in their first
It's just vibing with some like materials, and it doesn't know where to drop it. It's just like, yeah, mate, I'm still alive somehow. I don't even know where he is. Where's the troop? I can't see it. But I know it's somewhere.
I pinged
Wait,
you on
there.
the map.
Oh.
It's like, yeah.
Oh, I've got.
you can
That's
battle.
mine.
Yeah.
My God,
Yes,
I didn't
it's
realize
yours.
that was mine.
Oh, if you had known, it would have
I could've
saved the
won the
It's
day.
all
war.
going to turn around.
It would
Yeah,
have
it's all
saved
gonna
you if you had
turn around
known
now.
about it.
Could have won the war with that one, guys.
Yeah, clearly. So I'm looking forward to seeing. Oh, he's going in. He's going in with his air.
I'll join you with my beautiful tank. Destroy them all.
Well, he hasn't got any tanks, to be fair. Any more questions? In how will the third faction play? Will it be completely different compared to the others? A sort of like a Zerg version? Fortunately,
nice.
we cannot tell you anything about the third faction because, well, there remains a lot to be seen, and it will influence the game quite significantly. It will be a game changer, we can tell you that much. So we're looking forward to revealing that to you next month, in the next month, I think. But I'm excited
I think
for that
like
one.
once the third faction gets in, that's when we'll start. Like right now, like there's definitely a lot of like I guess I describe them as like macro balance changes that we could apply. Looking at like how is like our infantry working? Like is the emphasis on infantry heavy meta something we want to go in a direction of? But once we see the third faction being brought into the game, that's when we can really expect to start doing more consistent and like wider reaching design changes and rebalancing, because then like it's kind of tough with like just 2 of the 3 factions. Again, like we have that third faction in and we're testing and refining at the moment, but of course that's like one thing. Once the game's we'll only really like get a better idea once the third faction is out to the public, being tested and refined.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, this art style with someone's commenting that they think the buildings are very boxy. Well, it's the future, but it's not so far in the future, right?
Yeah, it's about 50 years. Like, a lot of this like is intended to look like prefabricated like locations, kind of like what you would see at like a emergency response. Like kind of the architecture you would expect to see from like an emergency response, like stuff that could be like taken or like put into like a crate-shaped object and then like dropped into an area.
Yeah, because they're all being airdropped, aren't they? The buildings.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I imagine one of the challenges is to, it's a sci-fi and you want to make it cool, glass and curves and, funky angles and stuff. But at the end of the day, you've got to make it intuitively readable on the battlefield. While lots of javelin missiles are flying around, you need to be able to pick out what missile, what unit is what, right? What building is what, So, our boxy, we like boxy, boxes and sharp angles help us do that, I believe.
Precisely. It's really, it's really well. We designed the character models, like, and in general, this is done in any form of like visual design, like for characters, be it like movies, games, comics. You have like a very heavy emphasis on like the silhouette of an object, and that's used. The design of that silhouette is used quite extensively for like pattern recognition, so that your brain is able to like easily interpret, like this is a global risk, there's like 7 global risk units here, and there's like a bunch of tanks, and I'm able to like visually see those without much issue.
Dark Knight asks about the PopCap, but more specifically, I guess he wants to know where would you put Crossfire Legion on a scale between like small individual units and smaller battle and army compositions like say Iron Harvest compared to like massive unit clusters like you get in Total Annihilation and other games like that.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a good game. It'll definitely be on the larger side of things. We definitely have a vision for like a grand scale strategy in terms of like a battle where you have like lots of units moving around a map, and you essentially have like several like formations like going after like strategic points. So it'll definitely be like larger in scale. That's what we'll be aiming for.
Cool. Sinstro, yes, all those things will be tweaked, and we'll be looking at those. Such as resource distributions and rebalancing of maps and maps increased, and you'll be able to make your own maps, and don't worry about that. Again, it's a technical test, we're just doing proof of concept here and getting it to work, and then all the things that you guys have pointed out we will definitely be looking at and tweaking. I played some games against II and it was painful to end because the main base had 20k materials. Oh, I see. Yes, again, AI will obviously be something. Yeah, AI is like one of the hardest things to do in RTS games. That and Pathfinding.
But you can win it. We did it.
Yeah, he did it. Congratulations to Nerf there. He managed to...
we won a game.
totally carry Lucy and heroic microwave tank.
I just want to remind that it was similar to the first game we ever played together, Doc.
Ah, yeah, true. But now you're a better commander.
I died, and it's like...
that's true. I carried you through that one, and now you've carried Lucy through that. So now Lucy needs to carry somebody else, and the cycle will be complete. Sorry, Maurice, do you want to talk about AI and how the challenges there?
Yeah, so I think Sinister Zero is right about this. I've noticed this while playtesting and doing tests myself. Was that there is an issue with the AI, especially on like 3v3 maps, where it's kind of like, I'll describe it almost like it pops up like weeds, where like once it starts losing a core base, it'll like react by creating more core bases, and then the game goes from an arc of like developing an army to attacking your opponent's bases, and then going to their final base. And instead of that being the projected arc, you essentially have build army, attack bases, go for the final base, and then like mop up by going to like all of the other places that the AI is attempting to like restructure its army on, and that final part will only be broken once like the resource nodes have been exhausted of their resources. So unfortunately, it can drag the game on for quite a while, but thankfully, like a lot of these artificial intelligence behaviors are pretty easily modifiable through our existing tool sets. Where with a lot of this behavior, we don't even have to write code. It's actually like a lot of drop-down menus that create like conditions and gates that indicate to the AI what it has to do.
Cool. And can you expand a bit on with pathfinding? Because I think people have mentioned that it can be a bit janky in RTSs.
Yeah, it's not the best right now. It's definitely like one of the things I've placed higher up in our hierarchy of priorities, where at the moment, especially given how many units per game on average you could expect to produce, the amount of like the movement of those like swaths of units is not the best. There's a lot of like corner hugging and odd behaviors, which sometimes it's benign and it just looks bad, but other times it like actively could mess with like the strategy of your game and like cause a play that you thought was going to work out well to not be as effective as you wanted it to be. So it's on the top end of our hierarchy of priorities for stuff to fix.
Yeah, I'm just looking at here the collisions as well. With the resources going through each other as they're going back and forth from the resource node. Because that has gameplay implications. If you were to make those solid, then the stream of resources wouldn't be so fluid and be more easy to disrupt. And I've gone and accidentally put a building in between there in the past, and they obviously go around it, But yeah. Anyway, will there be another technical test? Asks SFXer. I don't think so, because I think if you look at our roadmap, we're heading towards beta in April. So yes, the technical test, which of course people can still sign up to, and will be running for another week. Until the 4th of February, will be available, and we'll be letting new people in every evening, seeing how the numbers go. But of course, at some point, we do have to, stop and collate the data, and these guys need to get on with getting the beta going, which we plan for April. Will the beta be free? I think that's still to be decided, but I imagine so, or there'll be some sort of arrangement. But yeah, technical test so far is free for anyone who's interested. Just go on Steam page and you can find Crossfire Legion and easily apply. Very good. So you guys have started another match here.
Yeah, I'm taking the learnings from the last time. I suppose that would be an interesting question though. Like, how would you recommend you start the game? Like, what is the best strategy? What should you build?
Depends who you ask, doesn't it?
I want to hear from the expert, all right, guys?
Yeah.
So, I'll tell you, Lucy, because I'm the expert. No, go on, Maurice.
So far, the main strategy we found for base building in early game is to max out your resource, your material gathering, The blue one. So you want to start by getting to 10 workers collecting materials as quick as possible, creating a couple of logistics to help inhibit that. Then once you have about 10 workers collecting materials, then you could move on to creating like maybe 2 or 3 infantry barracks to make a nice steady supply of soldiers. Then once you have that steady supply going, then you could wait to have about 500 materials and then build an additional core base somewhere close, whatever core base is closest to your main home base, and then you're like in business. You'll have like about 20 workers collecting resources And at that point, you can start moving into like creating a lot more infrastructure in the form of logistic depots and HQ upgrades. Because at that point, once you have 20 workers collecting resources, you can start affording putting workers into collecting fuel resources. And at that point, it's more up to what kind of composition you want your soldiers to have and how you want to fight on the battlefield.
I see, Lucy.
Javelins.
Can't say that's a strategy I'm gonna take, but I
Well,
will.
you've got your second base. Yeah, it's nice to
I
know.
already made the second base, you know, so
It's nice to know the theory. You just need more.
And, yeah.
Need more command, more soldiers. But yeah, it's for some reason the AI keeps going for you first. It's weird.
like, what does it have against me?
It can smell weakness. Or smell
Are you
strength.
saying I'm weak?
No, it smells strength.
Excuse me?
Sorry.
Excuse me.
Sorry, it smells strength.
I'm a pro gamer.
Right.
Thank you.
And it obviously wants to take out the most competitive player first. So
Precisely. I like
Next
that reply a lot more. Thank you.
Yeah.
And don't forget, it's International Community Manager Day, so I demand a bit of respect.
but I'm also community manager, and so doesn't that mean that I also demand
Not
some
that kind of
respect?
community manager.
There's only one kind. The right kind. My kind. Cool. Let's see what other questions we've got. Yes, there'll be a new faction, SFX. Yeah. I think that covers pretty much everything. I hope you guys are enjoying the stream. We love hearing your thoughts in chat. Yeah. That's a shame we started because then me and Maurice could have jumped in.
Yeah. They'll be in the streets.
I can abandon the game really, really quickly.
Yeah, do you mind? And then we can all have a bit of a game. That maybe
The one time I'm doing good strategy. No, I'm kidding. Let's start. Let's do it 3v3, okay? And Maurice can jump in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
do it.
Oh, because Maurice is so pro, we should go.
Yeah,
versus
exactly.
Maurice.
All against me. Yep. Yeah, you can do that. Even in the test, you're able to like do 3v whatever. Ooh, you got some other people playing.
Can we do 4v? No, 4v2 would just be too unbalanced.
Oh, it can be me and Doc against Lucy and Maurice.
Yeah, that sounds
Oh,
great.
that's an interesting one. Yeah, all right.
We could toss into AI there.
Well, maybe just for the sake of the fast, because we've only got 20 minutes left on the stream or so. We'll just
Oh yeah, in that case, we should do it'll be quicker to do 1v1 then.
So
I
So-
can leave. Don't worry.
Doc
I
versus
can
Maurice.
spectate
Doc
this
versus
one.
Yeah.
Maurice.
Let's do it.
I'll
Let's do it.
spectate this one.
No. Let's just do 2v2. I like the 2v2 plan. That.
Doc versus Maurice.
No, I'm gonna die
Sure.
horribly.
Too late. Doc
2v2
versus
it is.
Maurice. No, it's Doc versus Maurice.
Let's do it.
You're just punishing me for my earlier comment, aren't you?
Oh, hold on. Let me.
Listen, you've made an
refresh.
enemy
Yep,
for
there it
life,
is.
Doc.
I'm in.
Okay, we'll watch.
Oh, and I know he's gonna go blacklist as well. All right.
Like
If that's the case,
It's the
If
big
that's
map.
the case, yeah, I was about to say, should we switch over to Mountainside? I think that
Yeah,
would
of
probably
course.
be
Yeah,
better.
of course.
Yeah, this is another like QOL thing where like we don't have a means of creating Mountainside. There we go. We don't have an intuitive way of like changing maps once the lobby's up. Kind of just have to create another lobby, which is not the best, but it's being worked on.
So rather than calling this a 1v1, shall we just say this is an opportunity for the dev to show how to use Blacklist
Exactly.
most effectively? Very good. Oh no. No. I can't cancel. I wanted to go global risk. Damn.
All good. We'll do a mirror match.
I know. I can connect it. You can
add.
Oh,
invite me to another lobby. Sorry.
nice. There you go.
There we go. There we go. I'm on global risk now. Cool. You guys are spectating. Cool. This won't last
This is
long.
gonna be intense.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm scared.
tip for you, Maurice. He already
Yes.
figured out that you can do what I did against Lucy, so you can TP on the back. Because in the first time when we were playing against each other with Doc, I invaded him with javelins from the rear side of his base. So he's building a lot of anti-air and anti-infantry turrets all over the place.
All right.
And he loves Morning Stars and the Phalanx tanks.
Well, I've already
Nice.
given that one away, hadn't
Some
I?
good intel.
That's not fair. Why does he get intel and I don't?
He's the blacklist. He's got the intel.
True.
I got it from my insiders.
Mm-hmm.
Deploy building.
That wasn't the most efficient start, but I'm scared. Oh, and I can't even see what Maurice is doing because I was in spectator mode before. wasn't
Yes. Now only we can see what you are both
I?
doing.
Ah, so you're going to start sniggering to yourself and being all like,
Oh, he's gonna get wrecked.
well, if I'm going to get beaten by anybody. Although this is kind of a lifelong dream to get my ass handed to me by a Blackbird Interactive dude. So.
Yeah, you can definitely then take it on to your LinkedIn,
Yeah.
play it against BBI.
Yeah, there you go.
I survived 15 minutes versus a level designer at BBI. Yeah, sounds good.
Good point. I'm launching Time Watch.
Oh yeah, see how quick it goes down. Yeah, good idea.
Make it happen.
Yeah, we should have a
Look
time.
at him go.
Yeah, look at those resource collectors go. Woo.
New orders. Stand by. Deploy building.
Listen, I'm just gonna watch the pro, which is not the dog.
No. Oh, hello. How you doing?
Uh,
So you just scouted me
what
out.
you're up to. Yeah.
Is that the
Stand by. Good.
is that the meta tactic?
Doc,
Oh, yeah.
one tip for you.
Make it happen.
He's definitely better in building stuff than you are. He's quicker with it.
I'm sure he is.
Oh, it better
Anything
be
else?
Like get
Yeah.
paid to play the game, you know.
Yeah.
Stand by. Make it happen.
Look, it's my job not to play the game. My job is...
Show us the perfect match. A 1v1 workers.
New orders. Stand by.
Let's go. Who will win?
Who fired first? I didn't see. But it looks like I'm going to lose that one.
Oh.
Oh, that's balance. That's a balance issue. Come on, mate.
GG.
Trooper reporting for duty. We are Oscar Mike. We are Oscar Mike. Negative.
Bless you.
New orders. Stand
Thank
by.
you.
We've got a winner already.
Deploy building.
Well, that didn't take long, did it?
Deploy building.
Are you nervous, Doc?
Now. Grid.
I'm not sweating. You're sweating.
No, I'm not. I'm just enjoying the game. I enjoy being in the spectator mode right now.
New orders. Stand by.
If
Yeah, it's
that will
nice.
help, if that can help you, I can
Deploy building.
tell you what buildings Maurice currently have.
Good on structure build.
No, you'll make me pay
Hey,
for
hey,
it.
hey, that's stream sniping.
New orders.
Yeah, exactly.
Hello.
It's not stream sniping on spectator.
Trooper reporting.
On stream, people can only see the Doc playing.
It's not
so
stream sniping if it's against me, is it?
Rifle
It's
trooper
Doc
Well,
sniping.
you're not in my good books at the moment, dog.
Ah,
So
fair.
building. Rifle trooper.
You made some enemies in the company, Doc.
Doesn't take long.
yeah, enemy for life.
New orders. Stand by.
Good job my life in this game isn't going to be very long then.
Reporting for duty.
To be fair, it looks like you're kind of equal in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Now.
That's a nice.
We've got this some kind of like same approach
Tagged area.
Yeah.
how to deal with the enemy.
I mean, don't forget, I mean, you're not in my good books at the moment, but you are an expert in RTSs, so it seems like you guys are very much taking the same approach.
Commence
So it's gonna be an interesting fight.
orders. Stand by.
Expert in dying horribly.
Yeah, well,
You gotta break a couple legs to make an omelet.
Rifle trooper reporting for duty.
Look at this.
Exactly.
Orders. Stand by. Reposition to tagged area.
Small invasion.
New orders. Stand by.
Can they attack them?
Target.
Yep.
That's the tactic. Destroy the workers.
Stand by.
Well, yeah, of course.
Exactly.
Take the enemy's resources.
That's like real life.
I can build them again. It's fine.
New headquarters up. Make it happen. Rifle trooper ready.
The problem is he can stealth. He can come at me at any time.
Reposition to tagged area.
Yeah.
Priority repairs needed on
But like
board.
when he's casting stealth, he cannot move with shields. So, but if he will be able to get past your defenses,
Trooper reporting
go
for
into
duty.
stealth mode, you will never know.
I'm looking forward to some interesting
New order, stand by.
surprises and uses of the blacklist features and stuff. Oh, we still got
Yeah.
a grunt
I
up
need
there.
to say that like Maurice is going with like a really bold tactic at the moment.
We are Oscar Mike.
Is this gonna be the start of your casting career, Nerth?
Yeah, I can see this. Yeah, Prime Matter
See
does.
something really intense going on over on the left side.
Beautiful weather on the right side.
Yeah. And what about the grass? Hey, hold up, guys. We need to talk about the
Yeah,
grass.
there is.
Foliage is quite beautiful.
Yeah, that's spoilers
Creating
territory there
grass,
for
the
a few.
best in the world.
We're planning
There
a
you go.
podcast, and the first podcast topic is just going to be gaming grass.
Rifle trooper ready.
Yeah. Well, I
Oh,
think
man,
it's very
that's a rich
important,
his- There's a rich history there for sure.
right?
Vegetation in gaming.
Materials are piling
Yeah,
No,
well-
no joke. Like those like golfing games are probably some of the most intense like grass sims I've seen out there.
There you go.
stand by.
And Lucy's
We're
got a
gonna have to
rabbit,
have-
so she's going to bring her rabbit on stream. And
I mean, he's gonna judge it all.
yeah, exactly.
If he tries to eat the screen, then you know it's good, realistic looking grass.
Begin now.
I'll also be very upset because he'll definitely destroy my screen.
Yeah. Big pointy teeth.
They do have big pointy teeth.
Man, we got like a rabbit infestation problem on the island.
Oh, yeah, Vancouver. You still got that? Because when I came to Vancouver, I went to Victoria Island, and yeah,
Okay,
there
you
were a
have
lot
a
of
rabbit
rabbits.
infestation problem. How does
They
that
really
work?
do. You want to talk?
People are like mean, and they like, you know, like they get like.
Oh, they abandon them.
abundance. Yeah, they abandon them. It's pretty sad, actually.
Did you know that the only force that's ever been able to defeat Napoleon were a group of rabbits? He was high on his victory from battles, and he said, "You know what? I'd love to go rabbit hunting with my generals." And so he had one of them.
I think the British might
import
have
a
something
bunch
to
of
say
rabbits.
about
Turns
that
out they were
statement.
house rabbits. House rabbits are not scared of people, so instead they started to attack him because they wanted food.
Oh my god, that's brutal.
I think
I
the
love
British
it.
might
Murdered
have
my
something
rabbits.
to say about
Well,
that
I was murdered, but you know,
statement of the only person to beat Napoleon.
it's a rabbit.
That was like a really nice way of doing things the blacklist way.
Yeah, he lured me out,
Doc went for the middle zone to
and then he came around the side.
additional
Rifle trooper ready.
additional info on what's happening in the middle of the map.
Rifle trooper ready.
And Maurice just flanked him, destroyed all of his workers, and his base is currently in half
Good to
HP.
go for extraction.
And this is how you want to get rid of enemies' resources, because they cannot gather resources when you're shooting at them. So it's like
Yeah, you got it.
once again, Doc needs to
Rifle
create
trooper ready.
at least 5 to 7 workers, so he's waiting resources and time, and his focus on doing that part.
It's a very interesting tactic for sure. Like defeat your opponent early in game, so you get a better head start than them.
Of course.
Yeah, you want to like try to cripple them and
No.
their what do you call it? Their economy as quickly as possible.
Make it happen.
While also strengthening your own.
Yep.
Oh, he's gone invisible
Yeah.
again.
Are you afraid?
Very.
New order, stand by.
Dark Knight GC is asking, will the game be free to play? I think we already answered that by saying we don't know yet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the answer.
That's the
We
answer.
don't know yet.
Follow us for more information.
Yes.
Exactly.
Factory. New order, stand by. Reposition to tagged area.
Like, we cannot do like a real commentary because they are both on the Discord. So
Exactly. I was going to, but then I was like, oh, I can't, because yeah, they're both, and that's a bit unfair. But we will be doing some commentating sessions later on throughout the week and
Oh yes.
in the coming weeks. We've got to brush up our caster and hosting skills and analyst skills, and
I'm still looking, and I'm still waiting for javelin and to see the javelin tactic.
I don't even
played by
know if-
somebody else.
I don't even know if Doc is gonna get to that point because he's getting annihilated just by workers alone.
Anti-air turret built and ready.
Excuse me.
He's on the healing spot.
Oh, now he's
so-
I'm not dead yet. Oh,
And he's got infantry on level 2.
We've got insights. We can see what's being built in the background.
New headquarters up.
Okay, but Maurice also brought his units inside the healing zone, so now it's Just the firepower. Pure firepower.
Make it happen.
And I forgot to rebuild my stuff.
New order, stand by.
I just
That was
noticed
the
that
point.
Core base. Go ahead.
Already a dragonfly.
the grunts are like actually bigger in size than the troopers. That's
The muscles.
interesting.
Well,
yeah, right.
In my
Like,
defense,
massive.
in my defense, the balancing is against me. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Excuses, excuses.
Deploy building.
And we've got one dragonfly once again. Oh no, it's the second and the third dragonfly going from above,
Go ahead.
annihilating the Doc's infantry.
He's in a place with his
He placed
his,
two turrets, so. But yeah, the dragonflies right now, when units
Yeah.
are focused on other targets.
well, I think I made him take a bit of a cost.
Infantry unit
Yep.
wiped out.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Infantry unit wiped out. East grid area. New order, stand by.
I definitely see a difference in strategy that I can learn from, which is make more than one like
Yes.
barrack, more than one facility, or facility, right? Yeah, more than one airfield. Like those kind of things are really what are going to help you, and that's something that I didn't do in my strategy. Didn't even know it was possible.
Yeah, don't get
See,
reliant.
you guys just didn't explain the game to me. God.
Yep. Bad design.
You need to be handheld, Lucy. You need to be told everything.
Yes, yes, I do.
You want to be carried?
Yeah.
Look, do you remember that it took me 3 weeks last time
To
before I
launch it-
realized
launch
that you
in
could
windows.
build?
Yeah, that's true.
New order, stand by.
Okay, there is a small, not even small, but like the
Deploy building.
advantage in terms of resources,
Deploy building.
in terms of like base materials.
Begin now.
Is
I guess it's
getting
not on my
higher
side
and
though.
higher.
Negative.
Damn.
Oh, that's the Doc's tactic. Build all of the turrets you can.
He's got so many turrets. Holy.
Built and ready.
See,
That's
that's not
smart
fair. You're
though.
giving away to Maurice what I've got.
No, he can see it. He's right
Yeah,
in
no
front of you, isn't he?
spoilers.
He's
I did
right
see
in
it
front of
already.
you.
To be fair, he can see it.
He's at the healing point, yeah. So he can see it. But
I need
that's very
artillery. I need some
tactic.
really good artillery in this game. That's what I'm missing.
Negative.
You need javelins.
Deploy building.
Yes, all the javelins.
Anti-ground turret is good to go. Make it happen. Make it happen. Ready.
You're doing the same thing after our like what you've been doing after our first match. Turrets everywhere.
I know you.
Game of turrets.
Piling up. New order, stand by.
But yeah, my favorite javelins are coming.
Deploy building. Deploy building.
I will treat this as a shout out to my tactics and to my play.
You
Thank
you're
you,
taking credit.
Begin now. Materials are piling up. Deploy building. Deploy building. Deploy building. Deploy building. Deploy building.
Well, we're gonna give him a good show
Begin
anyway.
now. Deploy building. Deploy building.
Oh no, he's attacking already.
Yeah, you just should focus on second base.
Grid area. Javelin reading you. Friendly structure lost. North grid area.
And see, he's using blacklist
Greeting.
from at least 2 angles,
Structure build.
so the turrets
Doc-
cannot focus on one point. Javelins are here. Javelins to the rescue.
There we go. The Doc is getting back into action, able to defend his base,
Materials are piling up. Rifle troop.
while Maurice goes for a respectful retreat.
Respectful retreat. I demand your
He knows when the
respect.
game's over.
Exactly.
Reposition to
Strategic withdrawal. That's what I'm going with.
Precisely.
I'm not dead yet.
No, you're doing well.
Oh, you're doing good, yeah.
Deploy building.
You're a worthy opponent.
Begin now.
Agreed.
Begin now. Deploy building. Negative.
If I win this, can I be in Homeworld 3?
Yes. You can get a little cameo. You can be one of the, like,
I would
resource
die.
collectors.
I would die at that moment. My life would be
That
complete.
would be awesome, yeah.
I just feel like
Great procedures. Make it happen.
talk about voice actors. Oh, Karen Sajet,
Yeah, they're so good.
whoever the guy who did the Bentuzi voice. Oh,
Hangar up and running.
delight. Mwah.
Ready.
Harold copies. Send it.
New order. Stand by. Your next task. Materials are piling
It's building up. See, I don't like it when it's quiet. I know.
That's where you know it's shit's about to get real.
Doing transpire.
These are going to happen.
It's not going to end well for me.
You just build
Have more confidence in yourself.
a
Keep building,
depot
keep building.
in the middle of your road for your workers between the materials mine and your.
Yeah, I
hospitals.
know I did that.
Here's
but
an
I-
idea. You just place turrets everywhere. Just entire map turrets.
Yeah, Dark Knight says it's kind of challenge. Go 500 turrets in the middle
Do
of
it.
the map.
Begin now. Begin
For once in my life, I'm not floating on resources.
Yeah.
New order. Stand by. Reposition to
I'm
tag
quite proud of myself in that respect.
for fuel extract.
But where are your units? Okay. Building up your army, step by step.
Anti-air turret built and ready. Commence upgrade procedures.
Now here he comes.
Anti-ground turret
Scouting
is
me
good
out.
to go.
Yes, on scouting.
But yeah, I like this use of negative space. Oh yeah, he's notice I haven't got any turrets here.
Deploy building. Negative.
Yeah. 4 turrets placed, 5. That was quick reaction.
Begin now. Deploy building. Negative. Begin now. Begin now. Deploy building. Begin now. Deploy building.
I really need a.
Ready.
Herald copies. Send it.
So there's
Trooper ready.
6,000 materials and almost 1,000 fuel difference between you guys.
Grade confirmed for
In
fuel
favor of
extract.
Maurice
Of course.
right now.
Yeah, I think he's. Has he? Oh, I thought he had the fourth.
Anti-air turret built and ready. Materials are piling up.
Interesting.
Anti-air turret built and ready.
There we go. I was wondering when that was coming.
Hmm.
Destroy it. Phew.
No!
Yep.
Went in for a sneak attack.
Not as
Did
slick
not
as I
go
thought
for
it
a
was.
But how did he get
Oh,
it
yeah.
there? That's what I'm confused about. I didn't see him get anything close enough to.
Ground turret is good to go.
And to be honest,
He's a sneaky sneak.
Yeah.
Deploy building. Deploy building. Fuel at the
That's
ready.
the dragonflies.
Engaged by enemy aircraft. Make it happen. Go ahead. Research complete.
Okay, it's happening, it's happening.
Begin now.
Yeah, Maurice is all on the rush right now. Look at this.
oh, there he is. Damn.
Ready. Friendly structure lost. Northwest grid area.
What are you doing there?
Is he going to be able to defeat the staggering amount of turrets?
Yeah, he already did, because... Okay, from the
No, don't move! Don't move! That's not allowed.
Ouch.
Okay, and some reinforcements coming from the backside, so might get heavy. Yeah,
Stand fast.
rally,
No, I don't have those upgraded yet.
including firepower and fire rate.
Down. Northwest grid area.
Oh, you're stuck. Okay, that's not fair. If my tanks are going to get stuck in the base because they can't move around the unit, move around the buildings. Damn, he took out my core
Look
base.
at poor tank.
The tagged area. Negative. Javelin
My problem is I'm just not aggressive enough.
reading you. Engaging small enemy force.
Because with Global Risk you are building your army and then you're attacking, and with Blacklist you need to do this stuff.
Yeah, you gotta stop me from walling up. Yeah.
Materials are piling up. Fire with enemy. Begin now.
Oh yeah, he was just there.
Structure taking damage.
Reporting for
And
duty.
to be honest, I love javelins, but like this kind of tricks that you can do with Blacklist,
Retreat.
yeah.
Commence
But you need to have the timing right and like enough
Yeah.
space.
ready. Friendly structure.
For sure.
Northwest grid area. Move order acknowledged. Ready. Anti-air turret built and ready. Firing. Anti-ground
Those
turret is
grunts,
good to go.
those
Oh, I can't believe we killed off the tank. That's funny.
Reporting for duty.
Oh well, he's already got the healing place now.
Orders up. New orders. Stand
Yeah.
by.
You know what I think I'm missing?
Begin now. Deploy building.
What?
More turrets.
Deploy building. Begin now.
I agree with you.
Jesus.
Factory has reached level 2. Deploy building. Deploy building. Deploy building. Deploy building. Materials are piling
But
up.
you know that like the objective of the game is to
To look pretty?
destroy the opponent's base, not to build as much turrets as you can.
Nah.
No, sometimes you gotta play defensive and make sure
Disagree.
that the enemy can't get to your base, which would have been very likely had the turrets not been built. I mean, I call this a great strategy.
my objective here is different from Maurice's. Maurice is here to destroy me. I'm here to survive 15 minutes.
And we are 20 minutes into the game.
Oh, have I already achieved my direct? Oh, okay, I can quit now. I've already won.
No. Excuse me. You gotta finish this properly.
No, I've got to be finished properly. Is what.
Oh, don't worry about that.
It won't be long.
Ooh, somebody's ill.
Hostiles attacking one of our structures.
Lions invading and destroying the turrets.
Reporting for duty. New Morning Star has left the hangar. Commence resource recovery. Move order acknowledged. New orders. Stand by.
Sometimes that's what it takes to do, guys. You have to
Yeah, but like,
have to
see
destroy
which
your own
kind of
base to
turrets
let your
he can
guys be free.
see which kind of turrets he destroyed.
Deploy building.
Although I don't actually have that many turrets in my actual base.
Deploy building. Deploy building. Deploy building.
Your third base, your third base.
I'm too preoccupied.
Begin now.
Not enough turrets, not enough turrets.
Begin now. Materials are piling up.
But he's just harassing me. He's not committing to the attack.
Ready. Good on structure.
Yeah, but that's enough.
Now fitted with
Yeah.
And lasers.
He's
And the crocodiles are here. Okay, but also the Morning Star, phalanx start getting back. You see what you did with those turrets? Your tanks have like
waste
hard
resources.
life coming to the
Oh,
battlefield.
it's a lot of tanks. Oh dear.
And you're like rank 2 already in terms of upgrades. And rank 1 on the
Yeah, you better run.
Seems like the dog's mad scientist strategy is actually working in his favor. I don't think that was expected.
New orders. Stand by.
Which basically meant you expected me to lose.
Well, you know, you are playing against
little
the
bit.
developer, and
fair
you've
enough.
spent most of your time building turrets.
Deploy building.
Hey, it's working, right?
Building.
This definitely needs to be shown.
Deploy building. Deploy
Like-
building. Deploy building.
You're gonna clip
Oh my
this.
God.
You are the turret
I
master
would,
of the
but
game.
I can't.
Oh right.
I was like, it's not me streaming.
How is
Otherwise,
this?
I would just
How has he not got a base
make a
here?
clip of all your turrets.
I'm paranoid. He's got a. He hasn't got a base here, has he? No.
I'll launch OBS and I'm gonna record you.
But at the end of the day, he just needs to drown me out.
Roger.
Yeah, if the dog, can you show us real quick a time lapse? Like just show us your turrets, and then I can clip it because I'm having a bit of frame rate lag as a spectator. So I'll clip it,
Is that enough
and
turrets
then
for
we're
you? But I'm
gonna.
losing my army right now.
Yeah, it's not important.
Oh no, they won. The tank survived.
Operations. Move order acknowledged. Send it. Defense matrix is up. Begin now. Make it happen. New orders. Stand by. Reposition to tagged area. Deploy building.
Okay, I recorded a small clip
Deploy building. Deploy building.
of the
All the
defenses
turrets?
in the
Oh
main
Nice.
base.
snap.
Nice.
Deploy building.
That's social media worthy. That is.
Ready. West grid area. Reporting for duty.
Too few of the mines starting to get depleted.
West grid
No.
area. Send units.
Okay, fourth base for Will got just denied.
Ready.
But it seems like Will's going for the offense now as well.
He's trying to find his way with the
Yeah, but I haven't scouted him out, so I don't really know what I'm aiming for.
destroy the turrets first.
Moving in on target.
Nah, turrets are.
And you don't have any anti-air with your tanks, so
No.
All the while.
Going into hold.
I like the laser animation.
Units engaging medium.
It's
Will's
like
getting
another
attacked.
thing.
Southeast grid area. Negative. Make it happen. Research complete. Bombard these coordinates.
There's a little counter attack going on.
Yeah, I can see that.
Divide and conquer.
Fire at will. just
What's the
a
point?
little bit
What's the
miss.
point of my only good commander ability if he can just walk away from it?
And at the same time, Maurice used the stealth ability and then the attack command on the troops, so they got additional added power, the buff.
Friendly structure lost. Northwest grid area. Repositioning.
And tanks are like just running in. He's just going in.
Northwest grid area.
3 tanks.
Oh, but on both sides, the fight is being won. So now the question is, who's gonna win? The amount of turrets that Doc has placed? Or the very little defenses?
Phalanx went into full
The
mode,
opposite side.
so
I don't think my tank's going to survive long enough.
Yeah, it seems
Oh,
like
man,
Marie's
this is
not
a
bothered
dense
about
build.
space.
Except my tank stopped shooting the base.
yeah.
Gunship here.
I need to kill that base. Come on, before his army gets back.
Make it happen. Ready. Send it.
Yeah, it was a risky move from Marie's side there
Yeah.
to leave his base unprotected.
Hopefully I was able to mess with this economy enough. We'll see though.
Oh!
Damn.
But that's not the end of the game, is it? No.
Nope.
No, he's got another.
Still not the last hit buttons.
Oh, I thought it just had to be the main one.
Oh,
All of
God.
them.
Wreck them
All
all.
of the cause. But you destroyed 2 of them already.
Mm.
Make it happen.
But
Bunch of buildings.
Wales'
bunch of-
economy got a massive hit there as well.
yeah,
so
yeah,
the
of course.
question
My
is,
my economy is absolutely toast now.
Enemy force.
there you go.
Southeast grid area. Negative. Tank lost. Southeast grid area.
Okay, workers going to build additional base.
Negative.
A place where Maurice just destroyed.
I mean, I didn't see. If,
Oh, you can't survive with one base.
Gunship here. Following the leader. New order. Stand by. Good
Doc is putting all his trust in this
Ready.
defenses. So like bunch of turrets here and there.
They worked. They've killed many of his
Yep,
of
they're pretty
Maurice's
good.
units.
yeah, Maurice has gone
Yeah, say
suspiciously
what you
quiet,
want.
which is what's making me
But the
overly
mad
confident.
scientist route has worked out well for him.
Gunship here.
But for how long is the question?
New order. Stand by.
Can we see, by the way, in spectator mode, what resources everyone has? Because I can't.
If you press backspace,
Backspace. Ah, there we go. Thank you. Now I can see it. I mean,
Grid area.
okay, interesting.
yeah. So yeah, I don't have much chance, do I?
For new tank lost.
Interesting.
Ready.
In terms of fuel, like you were really close and you're still close, so that's not a main issue. In terms of materials, yeah, at one point of the game, the difference was about 4,000. Now it's 8. So
Negative.
Oh, why are you guys?
Order. Stand by.
Yeah, that's something that annoys me. That the workers will only attach themselves to the one that they've been built from, right? So if you order workers from one thing to go
Order. Stand by.
mine somewhere else, they won't.
Oh yeah, you can redirect them as long as there's a base there. You're fine.
I also like the small details. I don't know if anybody else noticed that if you leave your core base without any workers working around it, the lights will be turned off, and when you start working around it, the lights turn on.
Ready. Send it.
If
Those
they are
dragonflies
not
are doing
working,
much better than I
if you
thought.
don't have materials, it's turned off.
Oh,
And the dragonflies.
yeah, too many dragonflies.
It's a
Not-
good unit.
Not enough
Oh yeah, love
turrets.
Reporting for duty.
It's not enough turrets.
Said Doc, you should have built 500 turrets, as Chad suggested.
Oh, well, I bought 499 and clearly it wasn't enough.
Negative.
Okay, additional package of tanks coming. But yeah, dragonflies can attack them from above, so
Begin now.
Yeah, and
massive damage.
it seems like the dog is struggling against the watchtowers that Maurice has made as well to protect his base.
Negative. Ready. Friendly structure lost. Northwest grid area. New order,
Ooh.
stand by.
Going for the barracks, smart.
Dragonflies keep on pushing.
New javelin. Begin
Hostiles
now.
attacking one of our structures.
Oh, is this gonna be it?
Friendly structure
Probably.
lost.
Yeah, they
Are
are. out of
3
reach
gonna
of-
be?
They're out of reach from any.
But
any
the dog has
turret.
just built another tank.
Yeah, but tank cannot shoot air, so these 3 dragonflies in the base can
Oh, my
easily
bloody-
shoot the workers.
Oh
And
god.
they're
All my
out of
tanks
reach
are
from
all my tanks
any
are stuck.
turrets.
South grid area.
Yeah, that's the dog keeps building tanks, trying to go for a counter-offensive, but I mean, does he have an? Oh no, his other base is destroyed as well.
Grid area.
Yeah,
He's got
and
one more.
Maurice brought bulldogs to the fight.
Contact. Engaging.
Right,
He's
so
looking from the backside, destroying the turrets, and focusing on the base and trying to do as much damage to the turrets at the same time.
Contact. Engaging.
Went for stealth mode.
Engaging.
oh
and now
oh
additional buff.
he went in for a back attack on the other.
Friendly structure lost. North grid area. Ready.
Who's gonna destroy who first? That's the real question here.
North grid area.
I wanted to be in Homeworld.
Deploy building.
Oh, dear.
I mean, the base survived because Doc was smart enough to make some cavalier. Cavalier? How do you even pronounce that?
Friendly structure
Um.
lost. North grid area.
Okay, main core base is still active for
Hostiles
Will.
attacking one of our
Yes, and Maurice has
second
just
one
lost
as
his
well.
one. Maurice only has
yeah.
one base left. Oh, 2.
And
He's
the
got
bank
2.
and
No,
the
one.
phalanx just coming after him.
And the Doc's making a risky move by placing his core base right outside
All
of
or
Maurice's
nothing.
base.
Ready. Send it.
All or nothing, people. YOLO.
I think we're gonna have an unexpected win here.
Yep.
I don't know. Stop.
No, I think we are.
Going for
Both
the
your
full mode
bases are
on.
still standing.
Okay.
Your third base is building.
Firing.
I think this is a win.
You're gonna be in.
No, I don't believe you.
Materials are
No.
No,
If
I don't
once-
believe it.
once
I don't
it's
believe
dead,
it.
it's
I don't believe it. Stop trolling me.
dead. Oh!
new headquarters up.
Does he
Okay,
have another one standing?
He must have another one
No,
somewhere.
you need to move. Not don't need to move. Remember
Oh,
that Maurice still got resources and still got workers.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's-
you have to
he's
destroy
making
the
a new base.
workers?
he's making a new base, so.
Make it happen. New
This is
orders, stand by.
intense.
He did, yeah.
But
Yeah,
I'm out
Chad,
of
he did.
resources, so.
Make it happen. Negative.
It was a close one though, Will.
Javelin reading you.
Where's this other
Taking
base?
area now.
But now Maurice cannot like earn any resources because he doesn't actually have a base. He's still
Yes, he is.
building it.
Yeah, it's almost done.
Ah, I should have destroyed those
Oh.
turrets.
Oh,
Southeast grid area.
Oh no.
Deploy building.
yeah, the turrets are gonna win this one, Doc.
Damn it.
It's such a it's a very tense fight.
Cavalier copies.
I mean, the Doc still has 3 bases, so
Javelin reading you.
one good offensive strike and you've won.
Yeah, I know. Boy, you can build a new base.
New orders, stand by.
Oh yeah, you could destroy more. Well, he's only got 1, and that one doesn't seem fully.
Contact hostile fire. Contact
Javelins
hostile
and
fire.
cavaliers.
There we go. 3
The
bases,
turrets
1,000
destroying the
turrets.
Yes.
Yeah,
New target.
yeah, Will. It's going right direction.
If only he had the fire at will ability from the
Yeah.
Cardinal.
Go ahead.
I don't think it's going to be enough.
Javelin reading you.
It could just be. It could just very well be enough.
Go ahead.
But look, from the back,
I can feel the sweat.
the bulldogs just came to the party.
Yeah,
Too
shit.
bad, too bad. Close one though.
And Dark Knight is still pushing. 3 bases, 5,000 turrets, and a few units later.
Ay, ay, ay.
Repositioned the tagged area. Grid confirmed for fuel extract.
But the difference in terms of resources
Javelin reading
is
you.
smaller than before. Right now it's only 5,000 materials, and Dog is ahead with fuel.
Taking new area now. New Javelin reporting for
But
duty.
yeah, the Bulldogs, you don't need any fuel for the Bulldogs, so...
New area now.
Ah, he's. Well, I've got fuel. I don't have any of the others.
Reporting for duty. Javelin reading you.
Oh,
Another run with the Javelins.
another run. Just ignore the turrets and go
Ah,
for
it's
it
not gonna
straight
do
ahead.
it.
Not sure if this is the best move, but
Well, it's all I could do. It was an act of desperation.
His base got 340 HP. It's like 340 damage. You'd still be to win this match.
He's probably building
Yeah.
another base somewhere though.
New orders, stand by.
Our HQ is taking fire.
attacking yours.
New Javelin reporting for duty. Javelin reading you. Javelin reading you.
Both sides seem to have stagnated on the material part.
Taking new area now.
Our HQ is taking fire.
Make it happen. New Javelin reporting for duty. We just
Okay, the
lost
And
Dragonflies
Dog lost the base.
grid area.
Dragonfly
Yep.
destroyed
Yeah,
the
but
base.
that base wasn't.
Taking new area now. Enemy contact.
Dog's playing it off cool.
Additional 3 Javelins.
Taking new area.
Oh, is he gonna win this time? Is he
Healing-
moving?
healing works. Workers are healing the base. He moved
Yeah.
out of the reach of the of the turrets.
He did. But that's a
Destroying
great move.
workers at the moment.
And he's making a final attack on the core base.
Got the 9 line.
While the workers are healing it at the same time.
Yes.
Providing a bit of a struggle.
It's still the same.
Oh, he got too close to the turrets again.
Kill it! Kill it!
160 to
Oh,
Whoa.
do we have a win? Do we have a win?
100.
Do we? Oh, 50 points
Oh!
and well, the dog won. Congratulations,
Fuck
dog.
for the dog.
I don't believe it. You let me win.
That was
Thank
a
you,
fight-
Maurice. That was very
fight.
charitable of you.
He let you win, obviously.
Absolutely.
Right, I will be in touch with Eric,
great
and
drama.
we will sort out my Homeworld 3 cameo. Excellent, that was a lot of fun. Wah. Where is
I
this?
can feel
Oh
the
no!
sweaty palms.
Oh dear! Can someone send a
That was
screenshot of
awesome.
the score? I went and
Oh, I don't have it either.
I deleted the score. Sorry, I moved on.
We'll get it from the stream.
You can get it from the
Yeah.
stream, yeah.
I will get it later from the stream. That's very true. Excellent, guys. Well played. Wow.
That was intense.
Very.
Yeah, good game.
Cool.
now
So
we-
now that's the end of my community management career. I'm moving on to pro gaming. You'll see me in StarCraft 2 tournaments, and no, that was a lot of fun. Has anyone got any last questions before we finish up, wrap up the stream?
Rematch when?
Rematch? Never. If I never rematch, I can never be defeated.
Next stream.
Ah, dear. If I, yeah. You can see your
cannot
score
see
from
any
games.
balls.
Can you go back to see your previous scores? I don't believe so. Maybe that's something.
In the right upper part. Top right.
Top
On
right.
your
Ah,
profile.
yeah, the profile stuff I hadn't watched, looked at. Oh wow, I was a bit behind, wasn't I? Well, not so bad. Oh, look at those! I trained half as many units as he did.
Yeah, those phalanxes, man. They're beefy, but they're worth every penny.
Yeah, definitely. But I did something I never do, which is push. So maybe I'm learning. Who knows?
And once again, javelins proved their worthy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I knew you were going to say
with
that.
every they're so good.
Yeah, look at this
Javelin
building
fanboy
constructed.
For the rest of my life.
That's all turrets. That's like 50 more units than you. 50 more buildings, and they must all have been turrets. Oh, but actually, I did. Oh, I gathered more fuel, but less materials. Okay. Interesting. and more workers. Interesting. Cool. Wow, I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. We're hoping to this match review. We're hoping to expand it to provide some graphs so that you not only see how many units you train.
Oh, and the unit drop off.
Definitely will. We will do all the graphs. A perfect presentation.
Give me the graphs. My next.
Oh no, I meant in game. In game, we're gonna get those graphs. But yeah.
That'd be
also
awesome.
to explain to DBI why I got on.
I'm just glad that I put those turrets down when you were trying to do the thing in the back. Because I thought, because he knows that I'm going to counter that. So then he won't do it because he knows I'll counter the back door thing. But then you did it anyway. Because then you don't know if you're going to counter the counter. My head hurts.
Counter the counter the counter the counter.
Indeed.
Copy.
Anyway. Excellent. Wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Special thanks to Maurice. You will live on in my memories now, as I will analyse every moment of that game in my head. Cool. Any final words?
Yeah, looking forward to doing more of these streams. Thanks for everyone's time. And I'll be in the Discord, so we'll be chatting there with the community. And looking forward to seeing how the rest of the beta or the technical test pans out. And thanks so much for everyone who submitted to the survey. That kind of stuff is really, really important to us for game dev.
Cool. Any last words, Lucy and Kuba?
Much love to everyone. Keep watching. We'll be playing more. Good stream, guys.
Yeah, awesome work, and javelins for the win, guys. Javelins for the win.
Like and subscribe for more javelins. Yeah, thanks everybody in chat. I appreciate it. And hope you all have a good week. And we will be seeing you on Thursday. We will have the deep dive into Blacklist. Although I think Maurice just gave you a pretty good impression of it. So we'll be releasing some lore regarding that. There'll be some unit drops in social media, and then on Friday we'll be streaming again, and we'll probably be doing a showcase and focusing all on Blacklist. So there we go.
That's try to do the same thing that Maurice showed us today.
But worse.
Yeah.
Excellent. Cool, guys. Thank you very much, everybody. Ciao for now.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care, everyone.